Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa's 2023 theme. Time to soar higher, celebrating our unity, one team, one community, reaching our greater potential. Thank you. So it is my great pleasure to welcome back Reverend Kelly to our spiritual community. Reverend Kelly, Isola, please correct me when you come on, Reverend Kelly, of the correct pronunciation of your last name, is the force of nature, a genius with words, a brilliant thinker, and a professional excavator of the soul. I love that. She is passionate about supporting people and organizations to live and love more authentically, and is masterful at relating concepts across her various life experiences, which allows her to connect with and support audiences from all walks of life. She shares her passion for living the twofold path of an engaged spiritual life, the inner path of wisdom and the outer path of compassionate service. She's passionate about interfaith and interspiritual work as an avenue for individual and collective healing and peace. She's a co-founder of Project Sanctus, and that can be found, more information can be found at www.projectsanctus.com, which is a brave, safe online space to discover and be your holiest self. And in doing so, together, create a world of love, justice, and liberation for all. There is so much more to say about Reverend Kelly, so please visit her website at www.kellyisola.com. So please join me in giving Reverend Kelly a warm, loving unity welcome as she takes us on a wisdom journey entitled, Does Our Path Have a Heart? Welcome, Reverend Kelly.
Thank you, Linda. And I'm good with however you pronounce it. It's Isola, but if you have a last name that kind of, when it starts with a vowel, that's where people get tripped up. Starts with a vowel, ends with a vowel, has a vowel in the middle. So it's how I pronounce it is Isola, and don't fret over trying to get it right. I love hearing my bio because I never send the same one twice. Life changes, right? And one of the reasons I love it, although I confess there isn't every moment of loving it. There are moments where I go, really? Does that sound arrogant? Like, can I say that about myself? And what I know is that it's one of the best ways. You want to know where your shadow is? You want to know where your sense of inadequacies or unworthiness live? Write a bio, have someone read it out loud. And you'll notice the places where you go, can I say that? And you'll notice the places where you go, woohoo, that's me, like rock on. So having someone read the bio, I often reach a place where I'm like, wow, she sounds fabulous. I want to know her, right? We all should have that, right? We all should have that moment where we go, someone's, introducing us or reading our bio or talking about us, kind of in a third person, like you're not standing there. And all of us at some point in our life should have a moment where we go, oh my God, I sound fabulous. I am amazing, right? And I don't always have that moment, and so I celebrate when I do. And I think a lot of us don't have, could use more of those moments. Let me put it that way. Not like we've never had it, but could use more of those moments. And that's kind of a little bit of, does this path have a heart? That's part of that journey. I think if you ask the question, the quote actually comes from Carlos Castaneda. He asked the question, does this path have a heart? All paths are the same, they lead nowhere. That's what he says. All paths are the same, they lead nowhere. They are paths going through the bush or into the bush. In my own life, I could say I've traversed long, long paths, but I'm not anywhere. So then the question is, does this path have a heart? And if it has a heart, that's good. And if it doesn't, then it's really of no use. But he says, I love the line, both paths lead to nowhere. Which then makes me kind of go, okay, then what am I doing? Because we have a culture, at least here in the US, and I'm pretty sure it spills over the northern border, of, perfection, get her done. Am I doing this right? I got to do more, kind of output. There's, as opposed to just, let's sit down at the bench, because if the path doesn't go anywhere, maybe I'll just sit and watch people, watch others, on the path, and I got to get there, got to get it done, got to get, and so the invitation, does this path have a heart, is really about that idea of, am I kind of functioning like there's a destination to get to, that there's, and if I get to that right destination, then, all is well, and it'll be good and perfect and right. And I'm not a believer at all in perfect anything. And I know in New Thought spiritual circles, we, sometimes use the word like the perfect pattern of Christ. And I've just jettisoned the word perfect because there's too much baggage around it. And frankly, I'm more interested in being with you as your messy self. I'm more interested in being with people that are just showing up in all their warts and all their glory and enjoying all of it, because we are fully human and we are fully divine. And it's through our humanity that we make our divinity known. And we make our divinity known in very unique personality ways. So don't be messing with your personality, because it's fabulous. Could I be a little more patient sometimes? Of course. Who couldn't be? But could we just lighten up on ourselves a little bit? Could I be more generous at times? Of course. Can I be more? But even that question, being more of something, comes back to that idea that I'm trying to get somewhere, even though the path goes nowhere. So when Carlos Castaneda, talks about, does this path have a heart? He's saying the path doesn't go anywhere. But the question is the path I'm on have a heart? And then I kind of go, okay, well, what exactly does that mean for a path to have a heart? And I'll come back to that in a minute, but he goes on to say, if the answer is no, you'll know it, and then you choose a different path. And what's funny about that is, choose a different path that goes nowhere. And am I choosing a path, though, that has a heart? Because a path without a heart will never be enjoyable. You have to work hard to kind of even make it seem like, well, I like this. Well, this is okay. But a path with heart, isn't, you don't have to work at liking it, and it doesn't mean it's always easy. But a path with heart is a deep conversation within yourself about, how am I showing up, right? In all my humanity, in all my glory, and all my, warts and all kind of thing. And so asking the question, does my path have a heart? I kind of have to go back to, well, what does that mean? Does it have a heart? What exactly, how do I know? And what would that look like? And how do I define it? So my first question is, for all of you, is when you hear me say that, does your path have a heart? The heart piece. And you can either, if you have access to the chat, I'm going to ask you to put in there what that means. Like, what do you think it means? Don't worry, there's no perfect answer ever. It's just whatever's alive for you. So when I ask the question, does your path have a heart? What is that? I'm not asking that question, does your path have a heart? What does having a heart mean for you? So if you have access to the chat, I'd love for you to put it in there. If you don't, you can unmute yourself and just share. Yes, be brave. Turn on your video and just share. And even though it's being recorded, we won't hold you to it. Maybe. So we got integrity with values, empathy, openness, compassion, caring, be present in the moment, sharing love without expectation of return, heart center, spiritual core. Do you show up with love, strength, inspiration? Nice. Connection to a sense of aliveness, being on purpose. Connection. Wendy, I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, what's a when connection? Oh, no, it's not a. I'm like, is that a new internet thing? A when connection? No. Living a passionate, on purpose life. Foundation is love. The outcome is service. Accepting. So y'all need to, if you don't know how to save the chat, click the little 3 dots down there and save chat is an option. Y'all need to save this chat because it's just something to go back to, something to read. You know, those moments, I don't know about you, but sometimes in the middle of the day or when I first wake up or at the end of the day, I kind of wonder, okay, did my path have heart today? Or some variation of the question, right? And I can read these and bring myself back to whatever I did today. It's good. It's sufficient. There was heart in it, even if I don't necessarily recognize it in the moment. Accepting and loving myself, and that makes it easier to accept and love others. The foundation is love, and the outcome is service. Path that has a heart means following our heart instead of our head. You know, what I'd actually tack onto that is that it's both. It's a little bit of both, head and heart, and having the heart lead, right? Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, was a big fan of developing the intellect. She was a educated woman. Her husband, Charles Fillmore, was not formal education. And so learning, education, the intellect was really important to her. Of course, like anything in life, push it to an extreme, it falls apart, right? We can very much move into our thinking nature far too much, right? So does your path have a heart? There's 2 things that I think about when I think about the question. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Teach. This is a good one from Linda. Teach what we think with our heart and love with our mind. I say that a lot. I say it just a little bit different. I have a thinking heart and a feeling mind. A thinking heart and a feeling mind, which sounds backwards and counterintuitive, but I'm going to leave it with you and let it chew up your own, let you sit with that in your own brain or your own heart. So does this path have a heart? For me, there's 2 things about that. One is I just mentioned, right, our thinking nature. So there are 4 functions of consciousness. You know, that make up who and what we are. So thinking nature is one of them, right? We have the capacity to think. We may or may not turn the brain on, but we have the capacity, right? We have a feeling nature, which is our emotions, right? Can I identify them? Do I know what they are? All of them, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the ones that are comfortable and ones that are not uncomfortable. So there's our thinking nature, our feeling nature. Our sensing nature is our body, which often I find is that the one that sort of gets lost in the shuffle, gets abandoned. But your body keeps the score of everything. So the body asking the body, well, where is that sensation of anger living? Head to toe, where is that living? Where is that feeling, that emotion of joy? What's the sensation and where is it in my body? And then there's our intuiting nature, right? Our capacity of discernment. And we use all 4. It's not an either or. We use all 4 collectively. So I ask myself, is the path I'm, walking on, the path I'm living, is it a path with heart? And for me, that means how am I engaging, these functions of consciousness? the thinking nature, feeling nature, sensing nature, and intuiting nature. And it's just a practice. And it's a practice that we all can, take on. And it's not, don't overthink this, right? It's about checking in with ourselves. It's about checking in and just seeing, well, where am I? Well, you know what? I notice, and do it at the end of the day. And notice at the end of the day where, what feelings did I have today? Emotions. And to pause and to notice. And if I'm having a hard time coming up with them, guess what? Therein lies the direction of some, need to expand my emotional vocabulary, right? Because there's more than sad, mad, glad, and bad, right? There's more than just those four general ones. Maybe it's not sad. Maybe it's I'm feeling desolate. There's a difference, right? Pause at the end of the day, and where do I feel my day in my body? So if I'm feeling, if I get to the end of the day and I have this sense of, wow, it really was, meaningful. There was these moments in my day that were meaningful and I'm feeling pretty content. So where in the body does that contentment lie? You know what? I'm feeling it in my belly. Like I'm just having that sense of peace, of contentment. And it doesn't matter where it is. It's just connecting to the body. So we have these four functions of consciousness that can help me know, does my path have a heart? Keeping in mind, the path doesn't go anywhere. But in living my life that way, which is awake and engaged and embodied, now it's a path with meaning. Now it's a path with joy, right? Now it's a path, of that is not, it's not hard. It's a path that's not that there aren't bumps, but it's not a path where I have to go, I'm not digging this, where it's just where there's more ease and grace in our capacity to express our divinity through our humanity. Is that making sense? Am I talking in circles? Sometimes metaphysics sounds like you're talking in circles. Have you ever noticed that? I have. So that's one way. Does my path have a heart? And how do I check in with that, right? So the other piece is that, and that's a really easy way you want to check in on your day? Just do that. And you can take one instance, right? I was sitting at my desk, had this conversation with my boss, and check in just on that one lived experience, how these four functions of consciousness are, how we're expressing. The other way that when I ask myself, does this path have a heart? Is I ask the question, and this might sound a little bit odd, but the question that I ask myself is, okay, where am I coming from? Where do I come from? So let me unpack that a little bit. I don't mean where am I coming from, like spiritually. I'm not talking about where do I come from, in my belief. What I'm talking about really is where do I come from? Like I could mean geographically, like I could mean where I was born and raised, where I was educated, there are a lot of different answers to where do I come from. And why I ask the question of myself in that way is because it takes me into a very deep conversation within me. And I get to look at really what my answer is. Am I coming from home? Am I coming from home? And by home, I mean, again, it could mean the building, the structure I'm in, but it's not that. It's more than that. It's asking, am I coming from home? And where is my home? Right? There was a time not too long ago where I didn't have a house. It was about 5 years ago. If someone said, where do you live? I didn't have anywhere to point. So So when I can ask the question of myself today, where is home? What I really know is it's not so much about the building as it is about the place within me, the place where I'm, within myself, or as I am in the company of others, where I am whole and I'm fully held as I am. Let me say that again. When I ask myself, where is home? For me, it's become this place where I am whole and fully held as I am. So sometimes it's a place of comfort. Sometimes it's a place of rest. It could be that place where I'm challenged with my growing edges. It could be the place where I fall apart and I grieve and I mourn. But in any given moment, when I ask the question, does my path have a heart? Always recognizing the path isn't actually going anywhere because it's about the present moment. It's those two elements of the recognizing, taking sort of, I guess in a odd sort of way, a inventory of myself, of my thinking, feeling, intuiting, and sensing natures, and those all kind of encompass home, right? That place that I'm coming from within me, and being able to notice, what does home look like? It is essentially, for me, the place where I'm whole and I'm fully held. Now, let me say a little bit more about the fully held thing. Being fully held doesn't mean that the people that hold me are around me right now. I can be in a very challenging situation, still have a sense of being whole and being fully held, because inside I can feel who is holding me, who and what, right? We all have guides, right? We all have mentors. We all have teachers. We all have all different kinds of guides, right? That we, inside us, we go to, that we draw from, right? There's reasons that there are guides, because they've really taught me about compassion. They've taught me about liberation, about wholeness, about revolutionary love. There are community, right? And oftentimes our guides might be part of our community, but I have a community that's a family of choice, right? And they all live within me. I have ancestors. Whether I know who they are or not, I have this very long lineage of people that came before me that I carry with me. I have ancestors that were oppressed, and I have ancestors that were the oppressors that caused harm, right? And yet I don't have to know their names or their faces, but I know enough of, parents, grandparents, whoever, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 10,000 years ago, that all of that has come forward, shows up as me. Earth. What's my connection to earth? Right? How am I grounded in earth in this moment or not? So when I look at, does my path have a heart? Those are the things that I look at in terms of, these thinking, feeling, sensing, intuiting nature, these aspects of Kelly that all together make up home. So does my path have heart? When I have clarity on the home piece, then I'm very clear that yes, it has a heart. And if I'm not clear on that, then no, it doesn't have a heart. And here's the thing, here's what we really need to be careful about is it's not about trying to get to, oh, I got to get my path to have a heart. Got to get my path to have a heart. Oh, I'm off the path. How do I get back on the path? No, doing that is a path without heart. It's about recognizing and just seeing and being aware of the path that goes nowhere. but one I can follow and have more joy in, have more meaning, have more pleasure when it does have a heart, when I do follow one with a heart, right? So does your path have a heart? If the answer is no, you'll know it, that you just choose another path. And the way that I know that it doesn't have, the way that I know if the answer is no, I just do what I was talking about. I look at home. And then if the answer is no, I need to come home. So then I start to connect to those elements that make up home. Right? So does this path have a heart? If the answer is no, you'll know it, and then you choose another. A path without a heart is never enjoyable. You don't have to work hard to have something joyful and meaningful, and to have a path with heart. Doesn't mean there's no work involved, but there's ease and grace with it, and we do it collectively. Amen? Can I get a little amen? One little thumbs up. We all, did I lose y'all? So we're ready to take it into meditation for a couple minutes? Is that what's next up on my? Yeah, take a deep breath. Let's do what I call a collective act of solidarity. Take a big breath in, whew, and exhale. And do that one more time. Inhale and exhale. And you can have your eyes open or you can have them closed. The path with the heart is what you choose. For some, a path with heart very clearly has a sense of safety, dignity, and belonging. And for some people, leaving their eyes open brings a greater sense of safety or groundedness. For others, it's closing their eyes. The beauty is you get to choose. So breathe just with your natural flow and rhythm. Maybe drop the shoulders a little bit and allow the chair, the cushion, the bed, the couch, wherever you're seated or lying down or however your body is being, allow it to settle into that space. Feel the support. So does your path have a heart? Let's not be so quick to just move to yes because we think it's supposed to. The practice is to encourage us to just question, to have a deep, lived conversation within ourselves. Here's Carlos Castaneda's words again. Does this path have a heart? All paths are the same, they lead nowhere. So take a moment with your faculty of imagination, bring that path to life. Maybe it's, what does the geography look like? Is it on a beach? Is it in a desert? Is it in a forest? Is it in a field? Is there bushes? What sounds do you hear? What do you smell? Can you smell salt water if you're at the beach? Can you smell the rain that is coming as you walk through a forest? What do you hear? What sounds do you hear on this path? What emotions emerge as you bring this picture to life? What are the colors, the vibration? What emotions emerge, whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable? This path, is it flat? Do you see a hill? Is it straight? Does it curve? Is there a bench nearby and you find you need to just sit for a moment and pause? Pause to come home. Pause because you recognize that maybe at this moment, my path does not have a heart. So what helps you come home? Is it connecting to ancestors? Just thinking about them and their qualities that are now alive in you? Is it a place where you know that you can fall apart and rest? Is it your community? So just have yourself sit down for a moment. If there was not a bench on your path, imagine there's one there. Take a sit. Let's breathe together. And just imagine our collective paths all going nowhere. And yet, knowing there are moments that each path is the path of the heart, the path of radical safety, radical dignity, and radical belonging. And let's just hold that idea in our mind and in our heart space, in the quiet for a moment. Bring our attention back to our breath. Just the natural rhythm of your breath. Let's each take a breath in and an exhale. And do that 2 more times. And when you're ready, when you are ready, gently open your eyes and silently acknowledge the faces. The faces on the screen. Thank you.